My project is about crises, societal crises in the European context. In the last decade, Europe has underwent a series of very profound crises. The financial crisis, the refugee crisis, the Eurozone crisis, a rule of law crisis. And there has been specific crisis experiences in countries like Greece, Cyprus, Spain, Portugal and Ireland. The phenomenon of crises, however, have a history. European history is full of crises. If you look at the 20th century, we had the Interwar crisis in the 1920s and the 1930s. We had the 1970s crisis related to the oil crisis. So the project sets out to explore and compare different crisis experiences. How do they emerge? How do they unfold? And what were their consequences? The starting point is the development of a conceptual framework, an idea about what is a crisis, what do we understand when we say crisis, how do we define it. Within economics, the typical way of defining a crisis is to say that a crisis is about expectations. You expect something to happen in the future, it turns out not to happen, and you get disappointed. In this project, the take is very different. Here, crises are understood to emerge when you have a whole string of different crises emerging and mutually reinforcing themselves simultaneously. You have an economic crisis, a political crisis, a rule of law crisis, an environmental crisis, an educational crisis, and so forth. The key thesis of the project is, however, that societal crises emerge when the legal system becomes dysfunctional or breaks down. The reason for that is that it's law which structurizes societal exchanges. It is law which provides the infrastructure of society. This argument is unfolded through a comparison of the interwar crisis experience with the crisis experiences from the 1970s until today, crises which right now are culminating in many European settings.